Hello and welcome to Georgia Medical Academy's AEMT program. This is Tom Camplain, your instructor, and we'll be going over Chapter 1 once again, but this time we're going to go over EMS systems, and this is going to be in a couple different parts. And to begin with, I want to talk to you about what an EMS system is, because a lot of us think that just because we are the responders out on the street, that we are the only link in this entire thing that we call a system. However, that's not true. Today's EMS systems are very complex. There's a lot of coordination that goes on behind the scenes. For instance, we are just one aspect of the entire system. We have a lot of people behind us that help us on a daily basis do what it is that we do on the streets. For example, we would not know where to go if we did not have a team of dispatchers and call takers behind the scenes, answering the phones, and getting vital information for us to utilize in response to whatever emergency we are responding to. Now, those dispatchers, they have people that they rely on. They have IT support that's there to help keep the equipment up and running. Now, us as EMS providers, we have a team behind us as well. We have a management team there that ensures that financially we are paid and that we have money to buy equipment and supplies and have a place to park our ambulances and have places to park our ambulances and stuff. We also have a section of personnel who are dedicated to repair and maintenance of our vehicles. Now that's very important because if the vehicle can't get us to the call and to the hospital, well then our services are worthless. Then there are the supply personnel who order supply, who evaluate new technologies out there that help us do our job better. Then we also have IT support out there that helps us. You have the education department, the guys that are out there, your field training officers, the guys that are helping you keep your skills up to date and progress your skills. We have those fellows out there and ladies as well. So that's just within our small universe. Well, then what about the other components? You have the fire departments out there. Now, granted, some of you who are taking this course are part of a fire-based service, and some of you are not. Some of you could be part of a hospital-based service or a third service, county service type entity. But regardless, we rely on first responders like the guys on the engine companies, or the rescue squads, or the volunteers to be there to get on scene first and provide care in some instances, or arrive with us to help us deliver care. Then you have the emergency departments that we transport these patients to, and they have a lot of intricate processes that are going on all at one time that help us get our patients to the care that they need. You've got the registrars who are going to help with billing. You've got the people, you got the triage nurses who are going to help get them triaged into the appropriate room. You have the nurses that are going to provide care. You have the x-ray technicians that are going to get the x-rays. You have the ER techs that are going to get them set up and in their room and possibly help with care. And you've got the registered nurses that are going to help with that care and provide assessments. And you have the physicians and the physician's assistants or nurse practitioners who are going to be there to provide care. In certain aspects also, depending on what's going on, we may have social work services that are going to be there. You also have the police departments and sheriff's departments and state troopers that are going to be there to help us keep our scenes safe and keep us protected as well. So if you can see, EMS systems are very complex, and it's more than just about you and me. Now, public access. It is very important that the public have a way to access EMS in the time of an emergency. Now, the universal way that is used in most parts of the country is the 911 system, where someone can call 911 and that number automatically rings to a dispatch center that provides dispatch for fire, EMS, and law enforcement. Now, in some places, there may be a 911 system that goes through and a call taker asks, "What is your emergency?" And they may route the call to specific resources. Either way, 911 is a very important component, and it's very important that we have that. Now, believe it or not, there are some areas in rural Georgia that do not have 911. So if that's happening in rural Georgia, I'm pretty sure there are places throughout this country, besides here in rural Georgia, that do not have access to 911, and they call a 7 or 10-digit phone number. However, if whatever the case is in your 911 system, hopefully, and this isn't always the case because some rural counties do not have the money to have a lot of high-tech advanced equipment, but in it's growing, it's getting better, and in the majority of places around here in the metro Atlanta area, we have dispatch centers that have trained dispatchers, and these dispatchers are trained in how to obtain information and get that information so they get the right resources to the patient. Now, enhanced 911 systems, that provides additional features like location. So, like if I call 911, my phone number is going to pop up on the screen, and so is my address of where I'm calling from, which is really important in the case of someone who could be unable to speak. That way, resources are still going to arrive. They may not get the right resources at the right time, but at least a police officer is going to show up there. All right, it's real important for us as EMS professionals to take time, especially with children and anyone who may not be familiar with how to access the EMS system, to take time and train them. Teach them. If you live in an area that does not have enhanced 911 or 911, we need to be taking time to train the public on how to summon for help. So, along with public access comes EMD, which is the Emergency Medical Dispatching Systems. And this is where dispatchers are specially trained in how to assist callers in determining how to help an individual while they are waiting on help to get there. For example, EMD will allow an EMD dispatcher can talk someone through helping deliver a baby. They can help talk a person in doing CPR if necessary, or stopping bleeding, or some similar emergencies. They're also able to get more information from the patient so that they can relay that information to responding units. Now, the reality is that what dispatchers may get in the phone call may not be what we arrive to. And that's because the public's perception of an emergency is definitely different from what our perception of an emergency is. You got to remember, we live in emergency situations every day. So an emergency to us may not be an emergency to a layperson, but to that layperson, it is still an emergency, and it warrants our response, and it warrants us being compassionate to them as well when we get there and not be judgmental. So when we get there, you may be responding to somebody who's bleeding everywhere, and in reality, when we get there, the bleeding stopped and it's done. But to that person that called, it was a major event. So what happens is, during the time of a call, Dispatchers will receive a call and they then select, hey, what do we need to activate? Does this call need fire and EMS, or does it need police, fire, and EMS, or does it just need EMS, or does it need to be fire? Now, one thing that I know we all know, well, and I'm assuming we all know, that EMS can be part of many different systems. EMS can be part of a fire-based system, as we see like with DeKalb Fire, which is changing. A better example would be Gwinnett Fire right now, probably. Part of a police department. I'm not familiar with any police departments that EMS is part of, especially the transport side of EMS. However, we have like Social Circle Fire Department, which is a public safety department in reality. So they do fire and police. And I'm sure in there that they first respond, so they provide a component of EMS. But then you also have the independent systems, which is like National EMS out of Rockdale County, Morgan County, and Athens, Clark County. And you also have the third services, which isn't listed here, which is like Walton County, which is a county-based service, or Jasper County. You also have hospital-based services, which is like Grady or Newton Medical, as well there in Newton County. So there's several different types of systems out there, and depending on what type of system you're in, means what resources come to you. So as new technology advances, this new technology is going to allow us to better locate our patients in two ways. One way, we'll get better information that tells us where they're at, and in another way, we have better equipment to help us navigate to them. With the invention of GPS, and now with GPS being everywhere, like anybody who has a smartphone basically has access to GPS, and our ambulances are now equipped with MDTs, mobile data terminals, or computers even. And these computers have resources in them that will help navigate us the best route to the scene. And as this technology is even advancing, this technology is becoming smarter and can even tell us if there's slowed traffic going one route or another, and help us get around congested areas even faster. Well, that concludes this part of Chapter 1's lecture. I hope that it was beneficial, and we will be following up once again with our next section. So go ahead and enjoy, and I thank you for listening.